frightened by the concept of having to write a matric exam because I was frightened the same way they are when I did my matric then. But I can tell you now, nothing beats preparation and being ready and being prepared. If you do that, half the battle is won, honestly. I'm going to start by relating a story about Dineo. Now, Dineo was a young girl, 18 years old, like some of us who are 18 years old here today. And Dineo was preparing for her matric exams, okay? And she was being asked, Dineo, what is it that you want to do when you finish your matric? And Dineo said, I want to be a doctor. That's what she knew she wanted to be. She wanted to be a doctor. Did Dineo prepare sufficiently for her to get a pass that would enable her to be a doctor? You will make your observation and as I continue making the story. And so the matric exams were written. Results are now out. It's January, results are out now. And the parents wake up, you know, parents, we don't sleep when matric results come out. We wake up very early in the morning. We want to buy the first newspaper to see your child's name in that paper, okay? And so the parents woke up very early with Dineo, and they went to the nearest shop, and they bought the newspaper. And they were flipping through the newspaper. And Dineo's name is not appearing in the paper. Can you imagine? How many of us have written matric recently, and you know what I'm talking about? When you flip through the paper and you're looking for your name and you can't find your name. The matrics lately are lucky because we don't write names anymore now. We just write student numbers. You know, so those that know your student numbers can tell whether you've made it or not. Back then it was names, okay? And so you can relate, yeah? And so Dineo's name is not the, what was it during your time? Was it just the student number? Yeah. You're lucky. You really are very lucky. You know, this Popia Act thing, it protects you, you know? So with us, it was our names in the paper. And so her parents were obviously disappointed because the brother had written matric 2 years ago and had distinctions in almost all the subjects. And here's poor Dineo not appearing in the paper. And so they go home and they're all over Dineo. You are useless. You'll never amount to anything. And we've always told you that you've got to do better. And look at your brother. Now you're beginning to compare. Look at your brother. Your brother, I mean, we didn't struggle with your brother. It was easy, distinctions and all those things. What are we going to do with you now? And obviously, Dineo was drawn into depression. And you know what happened then? Depression, bad company, bad influence. Drugs came into the picture because she's devastated. I mean, when your parents tell you you're so useless, you'll never amount to anything, what hope do you have in the world? And so she now goes to these friends who then draw her into this depressed state. And that becomes Dineo's life now. But I can tell you now that this could have been prevented if Dineo had prepared herself for the exams, okay? If the parents had supported Dineo, probably like the way they supported the brother. And we were having a conversation this afternoon about how responsible the eldest child gets to be. They get all the support. And after the eldest, you know, that novelty now sort of fades away, and now the eldest must take care of these ones. So probably they gave the brother all the support that he needed, and he should have supported Dineo, but clearly Dineo didn't get that support. And so Dineo found herself where she was now. And so having said what I've just said, I think the right place for me to start with this conversation so that all of us here can understand what matric really is and what it means. Us as parents here, or grandparents here who still have kids who are still going to be writing matric, or those of us who've got siblings who are still going to be writing matric. And it's important that we really understand. Yeah, we can just move on to the next slide now. This slide. It's important to understand the passes with regard to matric exam. All right. So you do your matric, you study, you come to the end of the year, you write, and you get an NSE pass, National Senior Certificate pass. Do you know what that means? That you've completed your 12 years of studying. That's all that it means. You can't do anything with this NSC pass. You can't go to a college and want to do a diploma or even a higher certificate, a qualification. You can't. It's just to say You did your grade 1 to grade 12 and that's it. Or you get what is called a higher certificate pass, all right? There's 4 levels. Now, with a higher certificate pass, as I'm saying here, you finished your 12 years of studying at school. You can study further, but you can only do a higher certificate qualification. So don't get excited and think you can go to a university and want to do a degree with a higher certificate pass. You will not be able to do a degree with that. Or you get a diploma pass. Now, with a diploma pass, again, you finished your 12 years of schooling. You can't do a degree qualification. So Dineo wanted to do medicine. With diploma, you can't. There's no university that can accept you into a degree qualification with a diploma pass, okay? Or you get what's called a bachelor's degree pass, commonly known as exemption. In those years, it was called metric exemption, remember? Okay, now with this one, at least you can go to a university and do a degree. But even then, you're not guaranteed space at a university because universities have their own sort of admission requirements. So you've got to do much, much more than a simple bachelor pass. And I'll talk more about this as I continue, all right? The next slide, please, yeah. So what you are seeing here is an illustration of what each of these passes mean. So if you are aiming for an NSC pass, you've gotten through, you've scraped through, you've got your paper. You need to have 40% in one official language. If Setswana or isiZulu or Afrikaans or English is your home language, then you must get 40% in that pass, okay? You must get 40% in 2 additional subjects, and you must get 30% in 3 other subjects. Then you've got your pass. And then you listen to commentators say, metric standard is so poor, you just need to get 30%. That's a big lie. That is a big lie. And if you are preparing for metric and you're aiming for 30%, you're going to be stuck. You're going to go nowhere with that 30%, all right? You've got to aim for much better than that. Or you get the higher certificate pass that I explained just now, all right? So there you need to satisfy these sort of requirements on the left column here. Plus minimum of 30% in the language of teaching and learning, which is English, as we know, okay? Because universities would want you to have that particular pass at that level when they admit you. If you get your diploma pass, it means you've satisfied these pass requirements for the NSC, okay? Plus, now there, 40% in 3 additional languages, 3 additional subjects. Remember here it's 40% in 2. Now there it's 40 in 3 additional subjects. Of course, life orientation is not one of them. How many of you passed life orientation here? Or rather, let me put it the other way around. How many of you failed life orientation? How many of you passed life orientation? How many of you got distinctions in life orientation? And that's why life orientation is not included here. Learners pass life orientation, they get distinctions, or they get the 60, 70, 80, 90. Some of them even get 100%. There's a problem with the subject, and so universities don't really take it seriously, unfortunately. And yet I argue that life orientation, if it was taught the way it should be taught, it's a solid subject. It prepares our kids for the world in which they are living. It makes them good citizens in the world in which they are living. And so they just pass with high marks that they get the distinctions. And so universities, so when you prepare for metric, life orientation, don't even count it in because it's not taking you anywhere. I'm sorry to say that, all right? Now, for your bachelor pass, it says there that 40% in one official language, 50 in 4. Remember there's 6 subjects, eh? Life orientation, there's 6 subjects. So 40 in 1, 50 in 4, and 30 in 2 other subjects. Now, when I talk to learners preparing for metric, I say to them, don't even aim for 50. Aim for much, much more than 50. Because you're going to get the bachelor pass, having passed the way it is here, but are you going to get a space at a university? You'll be frustrated because spaces are limited. And universities are going to go for those who come with what? Distinctions. You'll be saying, but I qualified. I mean, I've got a bachelor pass, but these universities don't want to take me because you scraped through. You just managed to get with your 50%. So grandparents, tell your kids, if they want to make it out there, It must be 60, 70, 80. Then you're competing fairly with your counterparts in university. And then, of course, you've written your exam and you're thinking you've done so well. But remember, there's what they call school-based assessment, okay? Do you know what is school-based assessment? Those assessments that you do throughout the year, okay, take them seriously. When you're given tasks to do, take them seriously. Because why? 25% of your total outcome comes from school-based assessment. So we then take your 25% plus 75 from your written exams, we combine together, we give you your mark, in the particular subject. So from the word go, you take your school-based assessment seriously. And again, because the NSC is a 3-year qualification, it starts where? In grade 10. So you don't play and think that when you get to grade 12, that's when you'll take things seriously. No. Your SBA from grade 10, 11, and 12, it counts eventually when your mark is finally calculated at the end of the year. All right. And the next slide, please. And so you've done your matric, you get to the end of the road, and guess what? You didn't do well. You got your higher certificate, or you got your NSC, and you're thinking, that's the end of the road. What do I do now? Where do I go to? Okay? And I always say to young ones that, fortunately, our education system is structured in such a way that there's many pathways that you can go into. So it's not all doom and gloom. So parents to be saying, you will never amount to anything, it's wrong. It's wrong. Because matric is not the end of the day. I mean, people listen to me and they're like, but you can't be saying that. But I'm saying it really is not the end of the world. I used to work for Umalusi many years back, and the CEO of Umalusi then we would have visitors from provinces, you know, just before the end of the year, processes where we standardize results and so on and so forth. So provinces would come and they would want to convince us as to what they did to make sure that they prepared the kids to pass matric. And she made a statement, she said, but you know, this matric thing is so overrated. And I'm thinking, you can't be saying that as a whole CEO of this organization, this esteemed organization, and saying matric is overrated. But I can tell you now, now on hindsight, I do understand where she was coming from. Matric is really overrated. The point I'm making is this, that even if you don't do well, there are other ways of still arriving at where you wanted to arrive. So it's not the end of the world. That's what I mean when I say it really is not the end of the world. Can we just, yeah. So you get your results and you didn't do well. Do you know that there's opportunities for you to go and check if really you were marked correctly? Because during marking, things can go wrong, okay? Apply for a remark, go and get just, you pay money for that, of course, but you get your marks checked just to make sure that you were marked correctly, all right? Or you just want to view your script and just check, again, if marking, you can be granted that opportunity. People don't know about these things. So you get your results and it is what it is and you just deflate it, okay? You can get a remark, you can apply for a recheck, you come with your parent, you sit here, you go through your script and you check whether you were marked correctly. Or you register and you repeat your matric. You're young, you're still 18. You can repeat your matric and hopefully you will improve. But the problem here is that if you are going to repeat your matric, you'd better have good support. I've seen a lot of kids repeating matric and they do worse than they did in matric. I mean, imagine you are now not in class, you're on your own, and so you need support. Parents, if a child is going to go back to school, please get them tutors and all sorts of things. There's a whole lot of tutors that can support your child, but they do need that support. Or you may write what used to be called a supplementary exam. Now there's no supplementary exam. It's called a May-June rewrite. You apply, you write in May or June the following year. You pay money for that, of course, but then again, you need support to be able to be ready to write your exams in May or June the following year. Okay. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay. Now, the whole thing around career pathing, it's not something that you wake up when you're in matric and you say, I'm going to be a doctor. it's something that you start preparing for gradually, okay? Because by the time you go to grade 10, you've got to choose the subjects that are going to channel you in a particular career that you want him to go into, okay? So the choice of subjects will really determine whether a child goes into whichever of these streams that I put here. So if you do maths, if you want to do medicine, of course you've got to do maths and science. There's no two ways about that. And so you must know already in grade 10 that in grade 9 that I must do maths and science. I can't do mathematics and literacy and think you can do medicine. Or can you do medicine with mathematical literacy? You can't. You've got to do mathematics. Yes. You've got to do science. Sorry? I like what you say.
No, I was saying this is from what I've now seen with math literacy, you can't do anything. You can't even be a teacher.
With math literacy?
I've not seen anything that.
You can do law, usually you can do accounting. There's a lot of things you can now do.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know law was so.
I like what you're saying, Elderly Titi, because that's the thinking of parents out there, that with math literacy, you can't do anything. Can I relate a personal story of what happened in my house? So our daughter, maybe I will not mention names, they may just not be happy with me. But one of them, yes, was not doing so well in mathematics. Okay, I didn't do well in mathematics. So I'm not a maths person. So I could understand where they were coming from when they were struggling with mathematics. So she's struggling with mathematics. It's the 30s, it's the 33, it's never picking up. Until the arts teacher calls us in as parents and says, why are you frustrating this poor child? Let her switch from maths to maths literacy. And my husband was like, hell no. No child of mine is going to do maths literacy. She's going to do maths. So she continued with maths. She's getting frustrated. She's failing maths until I put my teacher foot down and I said, this is where it stops. She's switching to maths literacy. So she switched when she was in grade 11 from maths to maths literacy in March, for that matter. In June, she got a distinction in maths literacy. And you could see her now, the confidence coming back. She wrote the following year matric, she got a distinction in maths literacy. She was not a mathematically inclined child. Not everybody is mathematically inclined. I hear the story about STEM and all those beautiful things. I push a different agenda. I'm sorry. Let every child do what they're capable of doing. You see, I mean, she has completed her degree in contemporary. She's an artist through and through. You don't need maths to be an artist. But with mathematical literacy, she was able to flourish and be where she is now. I'll relate another story towards the end of my presentation. So parents, please, let's not force children to do things that we failed to do. And now we want to achieve that through our children. It's not going to work. We're frustrating them. Okay. So, but anyway, so if you want to go into the arts and culture stream, you've got to do those subjects in grade 10. Okay. So you've got to do your music, your dance studies. Remember, I'm a teacher, so just now I'm going to be asking questions. And I'm going to be pointing at you, Elderly Titi, and I'm going to be asking you a question. If you want to go into the agricultural stream, those are the subjects that you aim for as you move into grade 10. If you want to go into the business and commerce stream, those are the subjects, the accounting, the business studies, and the economics that you already channel yourself towards. And then if you want to go into engineering and technology stream, those are the subjects, and so on and so forth. There's no better subject here, and there's no bad subject here. It's really about what you are capable of doing as a person, your inclinations, what is it that you are inclined to as a person. And so let's just let these children be, you know. I always say, I've said to somebody before that, you know, let the children follow their passion. And this person said to me, sorry, but passion will never put food on the table. So let them be properly qualified. Yes, your passion, but be properly qualified in that passion. Then you will have food on the table. These days it's about food on the table and what you can really do for yourself. Next slide, please. And so I just, yeah, I think I've talked about this one, yeah. Let's move on to the next one, please. Yes. Really, here it's just to talk about how readiness leads to excellence. And you know, as Adventists, there's much, much more that is expected from us. I think our preacher this morning talked so accurately and profoundly about it. It's a lot more that is expected to us because our God is a God of excellence. So he's not a God of mediocrity. So whatever it is that you're going to be doing, doesn't the Bible say whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might? Now, do it with all your might. So there's a lot more that is expected from us as Adventists. Now, excellence is defined as the quality of being outstanding or extremely good, a superior quality in whatever it is that you're doing. And as I'm saying, as Christians, we are charged with more responsibility to strive for excellence. Mediocrity is not something that we should settle for. I like how she put it this morning, that even when she talks in class, whatever it is that she does, she carries the name, of course, but she carries God as an ambassador for God, and that's what we're expected to do. Even at school, we are expected to excel because we are carrying his name, and he's a God of excellence and not a God of mediocrity. I actually just want to move and just move forward to the next slide because there's something that I want to talk about. Yeah, just go back to this one here. There's this beautiful quote that I like, that it is through readiness and discipline that we are the masters of our fate. Through readiness and discipline, we are the masters of your fate. You can't be blaming your parents. They didn't do this, they don't do. No. Gone is the time now. Everything expires in life, including blaming your parents. You can blame them up to a point, but then you're on your own. You've got to fly. You can't go through life blaming your parents for things that you should have taken responsibility for. Okay? All right. And Ellen White puts it in the book Mind, Character, and Personality, chapter 8, that talks about balance in education. And she says, I quote, "All the varied capabilities that men possess of mind and soul and body are given them by God to be so employed as to reach the highest possible degree of excellence." So as Adventists, we're not aiming for the NSC or the higher certificate or the diploma. We're aiming for bachelor pass. And even then, bachelor pass distinctions. That's because our God has given us capacity to can do that. Let's continue. Let's keep aiming high, and we can attain those standards. The second quote, that I found it from the Review and Herald. It was on August 1884, where it says, and I quote, "The true object of education should be carefully considered. God has entrusted to each one capacities and powers." Does it say to some people? No. To each one of us, he's entrusted capacities and powers, that they may be returned to him enlarged and improved. You don't return what you got. You return to him enlarged and improved. All his gifts are granted to us to be used to the utmost. He requires every one of us to cultivate our powers and attain the highest possible capacity for usefulness, that we may do noble work for God and bless humanity. So the education that we acquire, it's not for us selfishly. It's for this higher calling, to keep excelling and pushing and being what? Of service to God and to humanity, to bless humanity with the gifts that we've been given. All right, let's move on to the next slide, please. And so I'm here trying to cushion somebody who may not do well in matric, and you're thinking, oh gosh, this is the end of the road for me. It's not the end of the road, all right? They say the alphabet has how many letters? Yeah? If one fails, there's the next one that you can pursue. Okay. So your education is part of the plan of your life. Take full responsibility and steer the direction you want to take. It's in your hands now, not your parents' hands, okay? Our education system has endless opportunities. The only thing that limits you is your ability to stretch yourself. If you're going to keep yourself here, you're going to end here. It's within you, really, to stretch yourself. Opportunities can be created, but what you do with them is really up to you. And I'm saying here that we live in an era where young people are so full of entitlement. Ooh. Hey, this is a problem. It's a huge problem.
Created by us, the parents.
Sorry?
Created by us, the parents.
Did we create this? How?
But we as a system, we the adults.
Okay, Ntateletete, can you tell us how did we create this problem?
Yes. Yes. Let me give a simple example.
Eh,
How me and the Sambo grew up, and the others who were beaten when we made a mistake, right? Shambo, none of us died here. They were still alive. But it got a particular mentality into us, right? You knew that you're not entitled to a pencil. You could not just throw away shoes because you just didn't like how they looked now, because you're going to get a hiding. And you knew that you had to work hard for things. But we as adults who now seemingly think that we had it tough as we grew up, we then go and say we don't want our children to grow as we did.
Okay.
But we want the outcome to remain the same. But we know that when you change the recipe, the cake will be different. So it is us who then created that sense of, I don't really have to work hard. My father, there are lots of pencils there. My father can always buy me if I lose it. Because for us, if you lost your shoe, you're going to walk on that one shoe for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or barefooted. But us, me and you, auntie, we can't bear our children going to school barefooted, even if it's their fault. Because now we don't want them to suffer. We change the recipe, as I said, because we have changed the recipe as the parents. Therefore, the cake has come out as it is, and we don't like it. This is
it's the truth, and that truth hurts, eh? My sister, you had your hand as well. I think you wanted to say something.
I think on a different, mine was about to say it is from the society itself, where we live in, and the policies that the government has, their rights. They'll tell you, everything you talk to our children, they'll tell you, we know our rights. We're supposed to do this and this, and we are going to be protected.
Young people, is that how you feel about what has been said?
I think maybe to add on the Niabon entitlement. Just to add on, I think we have let ourselves down as parents. I'm a new parent, and I see the way I'm raising my kids. The model has changed. And what my elder was saying is how I grew up as well.
Okay.
So now we're letting go of the grip of our kids to a certain extent. And at the end of the day, when things goes wrong, we say it's them, not us. So at the end of the day, they feel entitled because we are giving them these things because we want to kind of like get the best out of them, but things are going to the west instead of going to the north.
Did you want to say something?
No, I don't know. I guess I'm a young person, and sure, my parents have afforded me a lot of things in life, but I don't think that we are as entitled as being implied. I don't know. Wait. I'm still beaten. Personally, the beating didn't stop. let's not act like the beating didn't stop, because it hasn't. He's not here to defend himself. But I think the discipline is still there. I don't think maybe it's less, I don't know, because obviously parents are giving their children better opportunities than they have. I think that it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing to give your children a better opportunity than you had. But you also have to keep reminding your child about where you came from and how you afforded them that opportunity, so that they can also remain humble and say, my mom has been through this much, or my dad has been through this much to get me here. Let me be grateful. Let me also continue so that I can give a better life to my children. And so that continues. So I don't think it's necessarily bad that they feel entitled to certain things, because as a parent, you've said, I can give this to you. So I don't know. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My sister?
I just want to say that, the way we were brought up and the era that we lived in was different. All of us had different contexts. There were people that would walk 10 kilometers to school, 5 kilometers to school. Some went to township schools. So the environment, the context was different. And I would want us also maybe to reflect and say, the methods that were used to bring us up, were they the best? If we say that being beaten up made us who we are, we need to reflect more to say, truly, did us getting beaten up, did it make us better people? Or it made us to have a lot of fear? And maybe not so, our self-esteem is not as good as the children that we have raised. The children that we have raised right now, if I look at myself and I say, when I was 20, how was I? I was nowhere near a 20-year-old today, because the methods that we have used, I deliberately told myself that there are some methods that I would not use on my children, because when I reflect, I don't think they were the best. They maybe made me to be who I am, but they're not the best. And the environment that the children are living in is different, and the era is different. So let's not be hard on ourselves as parents and say, oh, we are no longer bringing them up the way that we were brought up. Because if we really truly look at the way we were brought up, it probably wasn't the best. Maybe if we had been brought up in another way, we would even be better than what we are today. And so being entitled, I think it also has to do with how you bring up your children in your own family units. If your children feel entitled, you have brought up that entitlement. If you bring up the children that you have to work for whatever it is that you get at the end, then they'll work hard and they won't feel entitled. But if they can throw away a pencil, throw away a shoe, and you're still going to replace it without any consequences, then there's a problem. There is a problem in that system. You need to go back to the drawing board and say, what is it that we need to do? If a child does wrong, what are the consequences? There has to be consequences for bad behavior. You cannot just fail. You cannot just throw away things and lose things, and then you feel entitled. Because once I give you a shoe, it's supposed to last for a year. If something happens to it, you better look for that shoe until you find it, because there will be no other shoe. And so if you're brought up that way, you won't lose that shoe because you know that there is no other shoe that you're going to get, and you will look after your stuff. So it goes back to us, yes, but let's not be too hard and look at the environment that we're in, and that should work for us. Thank you.
Wow. So we perpetuate the problem, and then we get shocked with what we see. Yes, my brother.
Okay, maybe let me share how I look at it. Our parents probably they replicated some of the things that our grandparents did. I'm checking from maybe personal experience and context at the time, which does not mean to say whether it was wrong or right. I think it's debatable or subjective. But the way I look at it is that from our historic context as South Africans was influenced by the system at the time, where you would have a father in the house who's a father, but when he goes to work, he's a boy. A mother who's a mother in the house, when they go to work, it's a girl. To me, it's my mother, it's my grandfather, but to others, they're seen as a boy, right? So they carry that trauma with home. Even things which, and remember the education system at that time was actually different for us as babies. So probably because of control of information and lack of information, there were no intellectual resources that would support. We are fortunate today that I have other sources, which are books, resources that can help me maybe to be a better parent, to understand certain things. But with them, they did not have those resources. And we tend to actually, they learn by observation. So if it works, and we ended up taking some of the things that are actually, are not necessarily right when you reflect, and we don't have time. So that's how I look at it. For me, I am a young parent, same as Loti. So I have resorted to this thinking to say there are certain things, values that they have taught, which I will take. But there are certain things which I'll just have to also stop and reflect and try to understand the context where they are coming from and take it from there. But just to say a copy and paste, I don't think necessarily it might work. Some of us, we are in these challenges we are having because of a copy and paste. And I like the point what Mama said, that herself, when she was 20, compared to Lulu, there are more positives that Lulu has actually realized from the environment or the way he had to. And it only had to do with effort of, to say, let me put my effort in learning that. So I would say, basically, that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you so much. I think Elder wants to say something. Prof, you had your hand up? Okay. All right.
Yeah, maybe before I say what I want to say is, I just wanted to say something you were relating to Sister Ngono. Probably one of the best measures of whether then and the now product is the responsibility that comes out of that. Probably we need to see more to weigh in to say, was the school you went through and the school she's going in creates responsible citizens. So only time will tell. So whether this thing is easy and is good, maybe we can conclude, but I think the product, you realize that actually the endurance part of it, the school then was actually much better. That one, I think we may take time to debate on it. But we'll see over time. But what I wanted to say also is the issue of, if you look at generally, I think sometimes just scan the whole world. I sometimes look at the Eastern world. The state of mind of working hard, we don't have it, and we want the easy way. And then when everything just has the slightest opposition, it's not the will of God. Or who said that was the will of God? You get the point. I don't know, sometimes Christianity kills us. So we don't put as much as we ought to get the best of any slightest resistance. It is not the will of God. Maybe leave the children to choose anything. Now, I remember at some point, there was a phase in America, actually even now, when most of the research in American, research in all these technologies was actually done by outsiders. 80%, one professor told me, 80% of American research and all these technologies, they're actually done by either Mexican or Japanese or whatever. The indigenous Americans, they want the easy route. music, to dance and other things. And then within themselves, everybody says, no, you can do whatever you want. You know, life, don't stress children. You know, children must have the will, you know, the passion. Now, human beings, just like sin, they want to do the passion for easy things, where you just become popular overnight with little effort, and then somehow everybody else must be drawn into that. We need to have a culture where we say, you got to put in the best. And sometimes you have to work hard to produce good people, and not only good people, good society and good country or citizenry. But we have lost that. We are perpetuating by saying, no, leave the children. The children must, you know, let them follow the passion. Hey, I can tell you, the passion wants easy things, and they don't want hard work. And I don't know. I can tell you, over time, I got used. I sleep almost midnight every day. I've got used. I actually find it awkward to sleep 20 hours. And to say it is the bad, for me, I think I find it normal, because people have been told you ought to sleep 8 hours. Because Adventists, they preach that, 8 hours. All the 8 hours, and then what are you going to be doing 8 hours? It's getting for 8 hours or 10 hours. For you to be healthy, you must sleep 8 hours.
Elder, did you Sabbath school? First 4 hours, memory.
Thank you so much. You see, the comments you made, Elder, we need to unpack that over the next 4 Sabbaths. We can't do justice to that today. Let's go to Prof, and then I'll come back to you, ne?
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, now you see the good elders' comments rattled me up a little bit. You know, now I'm thinking whether to comment on that or what I wanted to talk about. But you know, I think it's very important to appreciate as well that, like Mama rightfully said, our children are living in a different context. And you will recall, we spoke about this, you know, during lunch, that the type of world we were prepared for is not the type of world we're preparing our children for. And sometimes we were prepared by our parents for a world that no longer exists. Because say, for instance, if you go into the workplace right now, we were talking about how sometimes you will have to manage people older than yourself. And you know, in the workplace, I have even seen, especially Abo Baba, the Zulu, typical Zulu Abo Baba, they don't want to get their performance managed or report to, for example, a younger white female. They'll say, no, we need to have other people in this room, you know? What are you going to tell me about my performance? Like, you're just a kid. But in the organizational context, that is the authority at the time. And everyone, I believe one of the very critical things people must be taught growing up is to have a respect for authority. Doesn't matter what the authority looks like. It could be someone younger than you. It could be a female and you're an old male. But just general respect for humanity. You know, learning to respect one another. Another very interesting thing I thought of was how, you know, sometimes we do share the reality. And I know my sister Gigi, I'm also a parent guilty of this. You try and explain to your child how things were tough, you know, trying to have them to get an appreciation of, you know, how you struggled to get where you are and how things were not always there, resources were scarce and so forth. However, it's not their reality either. So sometimes we burden them with, oh, I used to walk to school barefoot. Oh, I used to do this. And they don't understand. You know how I got to appreciate that is one time my daughter was interrogating, and I'll say interrogating because these days that's the nature, right? They have questions, and you won't get away with not answering the questions, by the way. And, you know, she had an iPad, you know, this tablet generation, which she had when she was younger. And at 2 years old, I confiscated the iPad. She's 4 now. I confiscated the iPad because I started to notice behavioral issues, which I was not happy with. And I realized this could be coming from, you know, you try and control the content, but you can only control to an extent. Till I told her, I'm going to ban you for 1 month. After the 1 month, I realized, but the behavior is improving. So I said, you're banned for 2 months, in fact. Until I decided, no, I'm the parent, you're never getting this thing back. So recently, actually a few months ago, maybe 2-3 months ago, she says to her dad, Dad, you know my mom took my iPad and she never gave it back. That was very mean. Did your mom ever take your iPad? And then my husband is like, iPad. The reality of this child, for her to think that I had an iPad with the way we struggled and the way I struggled to try and give her better, and she actually in her mind thinks, you know, I had an iPad, and she believes it was so cruel what happened to her that her iPad was taken away. So I think we need to then come up with creative ways. And another thing I've realized is, Gabby, you're making noise. You're making noise. Yes. She's the one. So even as parents, we need to know, you need to know your children. That's one thing I've learned from my parents as well. That eventually they learned that the formula is to know each one. You can have 10 and each of them will be different. So I was that child who, if I was doing something bad, naughty or whatever, and they threatened me with a hiding, I will tell the truth and snitch on everyone else what they were doing. But with my older brother, even if you cut off his arm, he would tell you it was not me. And eventually my mom figured that out. That this one, even if you threatened them, you know, she would really try and go to serious extents with him, but he would not budge. So once you know also who you're dealing with, even with the school aspect, the education aspect, sometimes, and as an educator, I will tell you, there are children who've been forced into courses and they look dumb, but they're not. They're told about, no, you're not going to tell me in an African household about the passion and so forth. But I do believe a man's gift will make room for them. What your hands find to do, there's someone who might be even a teacher. Someone, I've seen many people in the same profession, but who don't do the same. Because at the end of the day, when you stretch your talent and your gift in whatever space, it can take you much further than what, you know, it would someone else. And so sometimes we're looking at someone else's exam paper in life when we all have our different question papers. So also, you know, we need to be very careful with that let me know what this child is inclined to, personally, as an individual. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Wow, this is very interesting. I'm really enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, just to reinforce what has already been said, I feel like the word passion seems to have a negative connotation among some African parents. But I feel like it is important to note that passion drives the ability to want to work. So if, like Auntie said, if you put a child in an environment where they're not passionate, they're not going to work. And then you're going to be confused on why your child had the ability to like get into a certain position but doesn't want to carry on working in that position. And yet if you allowed them to explore maybe another option, they would have excelled in that environment.
Wow, sure. You've really summarized the matter so nicely. You know, I mean, passion should be channeled, should be supported. Passion can't just be left uncharted. It should be channeled, it should be supported.
But is passion consistent? What if passion changes when someone grows over time? What do you do?
And it does.
That one is very interesting, Alvin, because how I ended up in my field, this was my third option. Because I did pure math in high school. I did the pure math, you know, they call it advanced mathematics. I did chemistry, biology, and physics. And then, because we chose our subjects in what you would call grade 9, that was form 2, form 2, yes. And after choosing those subjects, I took all the sciences because I was excelling in them, and of course peer pressure. You know, we all told ourselves in our friend group, we're gonna be doctors. Yeah, that's a very fancy and respectable profession. And so it corroborated also with me doing well in the subjects. However, I remember when my grandfather fell ill towards the completion of high school, and we had to go visit him in hospital, and I realized this is not the environment I want to spend the rest of my life in. So yes, I may be good at the subjects, but I would be very depressed in a hospital environment. So of course, reluctantly, I went to my parents and I said, I no longer want to be a doctor. You can imagine the panic. I was in supposedly grade 12, form 5. Hi, they were panicking. And then, we were already putting in applications. And I decided I want to do something commerce-based. I'm not going to go into the field of medicine. They're like, how about radiology? Like something medical related, because you've been doing sciences. And I said, with math and English, especially advanced mathematics, you can get into a lot of courses without, any other specific subjects. So then when I applied, they said, but we don't trust you because you're so confused. So we're going to choose 1 and 2, and you will choose option 3. Because what are the odds that you will get your third option? So they put their accounting, first option, economics, and risk management. It was some fancy kind of subsect of economics. And they said, yes, now this is serious stuff. Then you can choose the third one. Whatever you choose, it doesn't matter. So I put there industrial psychology and human resource management, because when we had our career day, we did a strengths test, and it showed, I would be good in people management spaces and, psychometrics and so forth. So I ended up putting the third option. And then, as God would have it, my application got lost. When it got to it went to Potchefstroom campus, and that's not where, I wanted to go. And thankfully, my uncle was able to assist so that we could get, a new application put in. But they couldn't give me the first and second because they were full. They were already full. So that's how I ended up in my third option. But it turns out that's exactly where I was supposed to be. So again, don't take for granted even these strengths tests, analysis, career matching, career personality matching analyses and so forth. And it's all encompassing because it also allows those who know you well. You're not just going to put there, because obviously it could be biased as well, right? If you say these are my strengths, but it's a 360 analysis. What do people say also about your child? Always listen to that, by the way. When they say your child has hospitality, your child is this, your child is easy to talk to. Listen to those things, and that will help you also fit. And obviously now I'm speaking as someone in industrial psychology, because I'm always watching for what people are good at as well, So you just never know. But the key thing as well for me is pray, pray, pray. Because sometimes where you want to lead your child is not where God wants to take them.
I think at the end of the day, it's a collaborative exercise. You don't tell them what you think they should do. They've got their own they know themselves better as well. Talking about those, the sort of psychometrics and all those tests that are meant to guide us into what we should do or who we should be, real life experience, I went through that many years back when I was in matric, and I was told I'm meant to be a teacher. I shouldn't even attempt anything else. I'm meant to be a teacher. So I go to university first year. My friend goes into a law class, and she's a judge today as we speak. I go into BSc. I'm thinking, if she's going to do law, I'm going to do BSc. Fancy, okay? Teaching, not for me, yeah? So I go to BSc, and again, the second or third week, we go to a lab and we're dissecting rats. And I'm thinking, oh no, is this what I'm going to be doing? This is not me. And I got home, and the whole evening, I couldn't eat. I was just throwing up and so the next day I go to the student registration and I say, no, I want to do BCom. Again, because I'm trying to stay away from education, because who are you to tell me I must be a teacher? My mother was a teacher. So I go and do BCom, and sure, we're sitting in this class and the stats. And remember, I'm not a mathematics person. Now here's stats showing me flames, as the young ones would say, and I'm frustrated. then at the end of that term, I went to the student registration. I said, can I please be placed in the education class? And the rest is history. Here I am, 40 what years later. And so really it's about being guided, being guided, but also collaborating with your child. Because as I said, particularly these ones know what's best for them, and you can't dictate to them. But I want to come back to how you put the whole thing of what is it that we were talking about here? The whole thing of entitlement. You put it so well. And the summary of this thing that Sister Diana really touched on is that you can't delegate your child to a school and think the school will sort your child out. Discipline, elderly Tete, must still happen at home, as you said, Gigi, must still happen at home. If you're going to really delegate your child to the world, you're going to be sitting with this entitlement that we were talking about here. A child who's not guided, who's confused, who doesn't know whether they're coming or going, and it becomes your problem for the rest of your life. So we discipline at home, and when we discipline, it's not saying that we don't like our kids. In fact, when we discipline, we love our kids, and we want them to turn out into something better than we were, okay? The world will tell you corporal punishment, no. Of course, we discipline with love, because you know the end goal that you are targeting. But the point that I was making here is that the whole thing of entitlement has really led us to the kind of world that we are living in today, where young ones feel, I must get this. If I don't get it, I throw my toys out of the court. And you see them even in the work environment today, those ones that are full of entitlement. And the world is not made like that. The world is not soft and huggy to you. Okay, so you've got to really be a tough person. So we're not saying that let them be whatever. You guide them, but listen to them. These ones must be heard and not just be seen. That's really the message of, yes. The mic, you want the mic?
The mic, yes. Yeah, I just wanted, I like the verse. The verse, I think that was read, that whatever your mind, what is it? You find?
To do. Whatever your hand find to do. Mm.
It's not saying whatever your passion is. Now, circumstances change. I'm putting this thing because, please, I want, the world is changing. The world is changing. The professors you find now, they were never supposed to be professors, but circumstances pushed them there. So the Bible left out the passion deliberately because Daniel was meant to be in the royalty, but he ended up working when he was supposed to be saved. So things do change. But Christians, wherever, if situations puts you in this, do it well. Don't put passion as an excuse. So Christians must excel wherever they are pushed to, even if they may not like it. It's deliberate. That verse was premised for changing circumstances and systems. We assume systems will always work like that. And I can tell you, I think most foreigners would see now they have moved. Systems have changed to say, hey, we don't want you here. Hey, we don't want you, but you got to adapt. So adaptability, we need to mingle it up with a bit of, what do you call it? This so-called passion. Sometimes you are so passionate to do this, but circumstances may not allow you to be in that. So the Bible left out the passion. Whatever you find yourselves to do it well. And when you do it well, some passions may come up, or it may build certain adaptability systems around it for you to survive.
Thank you so much.
It's a comment and a question. Let me start with the comment. Okay? There's a lot of emphasis on passion. I'm thinking in my mind to say, the way I look at it personally, it's I think would be also to emphasize purpose. Because my observation that a lot of people, when you say passion, has to do with, I need to do something that I love, something that I'm passionate about. Like for me, for me in my mind, people during my studying days, people with passion were the ones which were artists, fashion designers. Do you understand? Because immediately dancers. So that's what I'm saying with it. Maybe repackage it to say purpose. To say that even if I'm an artist, what's the purpose? Why am I an artist? So that, because if we look at it from a purpose perspective, there's no this classification of hierarchy to say, lawyers are better than teachers. Do you understand? Accountants are not better than actuarists or not. So yeah, it's just a maybe different perspective to say, because if we think of it from a purpose perspective, it will actually say to me individually, whatever I'm doing, wherever I am, I'm here because of God's will, and we know that mood purpose is that there's a purpose where all of us are here.
Amen.
Because if we drive it from a passion perspective, it simply means it gives in a dimension that a person who was not fortunate enough to study for a degree, doesn't have, we don't recognize them. Do you understand? But if it's purpose, I know that because of circumstances, whether I was able, but even my God-given talent, where I'm using it for God's purpose. Just to add more, to say it must be rightly channeled. Then if it's there's a term you use that if you've got a qualification to it in a structured manner, that's when the qualification systems comes into their place. It will be also enable you to put food on the table.
At the end of the day, as I said, our God is not a God of mediocrity. There's a standard that is set for us, and whatever we do it with all our might, okay? But there is a standard. We're not going to be people of mediocrity. I think that's the message, and I think we're all in agreement there, okay? And so I'm just mindful of my time now. We could just go on and really talk. It's so interesting. At the next slide, it's just a quote, I think, if it is, yeah? That says that by J.K. Rowling, there is an expiry date on blaming your parents for steering you in the wrong direction. The moment you are old enough to take the wheel, responsibility lies with you. I mean, there are people who are children and they're 40-year-old children, and they're still blaming their parents. When is this thing going to end? And they're still with parents. This mentality. So, and that's not what we are promoting here. We're promoting excellence. We're promoting higher standards, which is what God expects from us. Okay. But I want to talk just a little bit about what then our responsibility is as parents in the broader scheme of things. Can we just move to the next slide, please? And really, it's about support that we should give to our children. Okay? We're not saying you just let them be. No. They've got to be guided. Some parents are of the mentality that you pay school fees and you're out of it. The teacher must see to finish with your child. You're going to have that entitlement mentality that we were talking about. When you are called to go to school because there's a parental meeting and where teachers want to discuss with you, you are busy. So if you are busy for your child, who then must have time for your child? And so the message really that I'm wanting to push here is that we need to be supporting our children as parents. And I like how I see the younger sort of generation parents relating to their children. It's beautiful. They're present. They're intentional. They're very intentional about what they're doing in the lives of their children, which is really a beautiful thing. We were told to keep quiet when we would ask questions. You talk too much. You are loud. You are this, and we became, as you were saying, fearful, modest, contained, respectful. We want our children to be what we could not be. If I was not able to be a doctor, then you're going to be a doctor. whether you like it or not. You're going to be a lawyer, whether you like it or not. It's not. The world has changed. The world has changed. It's a different context that we are in now. We've got to listen to them, negotiate, collaborate, and guide them. That's the only way that we will manage this thing. Next slide, please. I'm really out of my time now. I'm sorry. I'm going to be finishing. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, I've talked about this thing. I'm not going to spend time on it. Your journey to excellence is in your hands. Just make sure that you get there. The next one, please. Yes, I like doing this analogy when I talk to young ones. The analogy about traveling to Cape Town. You see, when you are in matric, or even when you're in grade 10 and you're preparing for matric, listen to this now. There's many ways to skin a cat. There are many ways of arriving at your Cape Town. Be in control of your journey to Cape Town. You may choose, I'm going to fly to Cape Town. It's 2 hours. You are in Cape Town in no time. But do you know that you can go to Cape Town using the garden route? It's scenic, it's beautiful. You pause. You can even find nice sort of guest houses and hotels to sleep over. You're taking your time. It's a beautiful journey. It's fine. Take that journey. But you will arrive where? Cape Town. Or circumstances may force you to use the Kimberley route. Have you ever used the Kimberley route to Cape Town? It is long. It is dry. It is lonely. And if you do it in summer, it's because that area is it's hot. It's terrible. You don't want to. Yeah, okay, let me not say this. I nearly said you don't want to go to Cape Town using that route. But you will arrive where? In Cape Town. I want to relate real-life stories here. Real-life stories. One, the person didn't give me authority, permission to use the name, so I'm using a pseudonym here. Next slide. I'm using a pseudonym here. I'm using the name of Tsiamo because I was not given permission. But Tsiamo got higher certificate pass in matric. I mean, what do you do with a higher certificate pass? As I said, very limited options, right? Very, very limited. And so she was devastated. She repeated matric, and that maths just smashed her, you know. It was the maths again that really was a problem. She repeats the first year. She's now 19. The second year, she goes to Damelin to do this matric thing again. It doesn't work. The maths instead, it's worse now. The performance is worse. You're frustrating this poor child. This child could have followed other avenues, okay? And so the parents decide, okay, enough now with matric, with maths thing. This child has a higher certificate pass. We're going to let her do a higher certificate program. And so she enrolls at Varsity College. Did you know that you can go to Varsity College and do higher certificate? So she goes to Varsity College and she does a higher certificate program, sort of program. And in that program, there is some sort of maths. I don't know what maths it was. Business practice maths, whatnot, that she was doing. She excelled. So that maths was not her maths. But she excelled. She passed higher certificate. Do you know that when I keep saying our system is designed in a beautiful way that it allows you to go into different pathways? With that higher certificate, she was able to then do what? A degree. You go to USAF, University of South Africa, the matriculation board. Once you've passed your higher certificate program at whatever college, you then can go and do what? A degree. She went to UNISA. She did a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. She now has an honors degree in psychology. Where did she start? Higher certificate pass. And that was not the end of the world. She was able to get to her Cape Town through other avenues. She has arrived at her Cape Town. Somebody flew and got there quicker, but she also has arrived. Okay? Now this one, confidence, this is not me. Let me do a disclaimer now. It's not me. It's another confidence. So I was invited to talk to matrics, and I did the same talk I'm doing now, the Cape Town analogy. Now there's this beautiful young girl, confidence. She's singing in a group at this particular school, and I'm attracted to her. And when she's done singing and the program is done, I call her, I said, your name is Confidence. Do you know that I'm also Confidence? Yes, ma'am, I've heard your confidence. I said, okay. So obviously I've got interest in you now, and I'm going to be following you for the rest of your life. Okay, what do you want to do when you finish school? I want to be a doctor, ma'am. And so she writes matric, she wants to be a doctor. Results come out in January. She doesn't call me. Then a few days I call her. So how did we do? She's crying, she's just uncontrollable. She got a diploma pass, very uncontrollable. And I said, okay, remember, you will get to your Cape Town. This is not the end of the world. Okay, what do you want to do now? Let's focus. And so she went to UJ, and she enrolled for a diploma program at UJ, and she passed. When she finished, she now comes to me and says, ma'am, I passed, but I don't think this is what I want to do. It was some, I don't know, whether hospitality, something. She says, I want to be a teacher, ma'am. Okay, fine, this is what we're going to do. You're going to enroll for a postgraduate certificate in education at University of Pretoria. So I arranged, literally, where I was working prior. We got her into a PGCE class at University of Pretoria. She did the PGCE 1 year. Guess what she's doing now? She's a teacher. She's so fulfilled. She's the happy. At that time, there was depression. I would be called in the middle of the night. Confidence is in a hospital, depressed, and we've seen your number. We see that she communicates with you. Please, you've got to rush here now. We need to help her. It was a journey. A journey that was exacerbated by the fact that at home, no support. And when she fell into depression because she didn't get to her Cape Town the way she wanted to get, parents were like, what is this depression thing? Sort yourself out, get on with it. And so I was that person who literally held her by hand. I meet with her regularly. I bought her a book recently. It's called A Teacher Changed Me, or something like that. It's a beautiful book. And she normally sends me sort of photos of how her kids giving her gifts because she is the best. Her life has been restored. She's not the doctor she wanted to be, but her life, her dignity has been restored. Amen. She has arrived at Cape Town. It may have taken long, may have been the Kimberley route, but she has arrived. What matters is that she has arrived. So I'm saying here that your matric pass is not your final destination. It's just the beginning of your journey. And there are many ways or many roads to success, and each one is valid. Don't let anybody tell you that you are useless if you do this, you will not amount to anything. Just have a plan, of course. Hey, don't be a dinero. Have a plan and allow yourself to be guided, and you will arrive at where you're wanting to go. I'm closing now. The last slide, I think that will be my last slide here. I love this, and I never sort of complete any talk without referring to this. It's in the book, Long Walk to Freedom, where Nelson Mandela says, I've walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way. Don't we all make missteps along the way? Mm-hmm. I have made missteps along the way, but I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. Mm-hmm. So don't stop climbing, young one. Don't. There are many hills. You don't sit there and say, I've arrived. We never arrive. You were talking about lifelong learning this morning. You never arrive. So there are many more hills to climb. I've taken a moment here to rest. If your Cape Town is messing you up, take a moment, rest, regroup, refocus, but then continue with the journey, okay? To still a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I've come. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not ended. Let's be lifelong learners. Let's continue pursuing excellence. Let's strive for the highest standard that God has laid out for us. It's attainable. It really is attainable, with support, with guidance, and you willing, as I said, to be led and to be guided. And in conclusion, I'm going to close with this text here. Let's go to the next verse. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Let that be your mantra. You can do what you want to do. You can be what you want to be through him who gives you strength. God has already placed within you strength. Remember the text, what I read from Ellen White? It's exactly this. God has already placed within you the strength, the wisdom, and abilities you need. Trust him. Work diligently and step boldly into the future. He has prepared for you. God bless you. Amen.
Thank you so much, Ms. for such an informative session. I'm sure each and everyone here has learned something, has been reminded about something. All right, moving along, I'll just ask Gigi to give us a presentation, but we are kind of running out of time. After Gigi, we will have our professor, Elder Prof. Chimoka. Then we also, I'm thinking we can also have our question and answer session there to be short because we are running out of time.
Just a quick announcement. Someone has lost their phone. I don't know whose phone it is, but if you need it, it will be here. Happy Sabbath, everyone. Lulu and I were asked to talk about, to just give encouragement and also talk about some challenges that are faced in university. One of the challenges that I faced personally is about time management, and this is like in a lot of factors. High school is very structured. You wake up in the morning, your parents take you to school, you're at school, you have your extracurriculars, you go home. In university, it's up to you. Everything is up to you. Whether you want to go to class or not, it's up to you. Whether you're going to do this or do that, it's up to you. So it's very, it's difficult to get used to in the beginning. Some people feel like everything, things feel optional. So really it's about how you structure your time, how you decide, I'm waking up at this time, I'm doing this, I'm getting to this class, I'm studying at this time, I'm taking breaks at this time, I'm seeing friends at this time, but you decide your schedule.
Yeah, just to add on to that, high school, like she said, is very structured. You're told what class you're going to on at what time, and you're able to go to, say, 6 classes in the day. You would have done all your subjects. In university, you may only have 2 classes for the day, and the day will still feel like it's not long enough. Because there's also so much work added in uni that even though you may only have 5 modules or 4 modules, you have to manage your time in a way that you give yourself enough time to not only attend class, but to go home, to unpack what you've done, to do your laundry, to cook, because now you're taking care of yourself as if you're living alone. Yes.
Yeah, so just time management is a real thing. Also, one of the challenges that are faced in university is it's also finding time, but finding time for yourself. It feels like there's always something going on, there's always something happening on campus, at your residence. Your friends want to do this. Your classmates, you have many groups of friends as well because you're in many different spaces. Different people don't want to do things with different people. It's a lot to manage as well. And finding time for yourself in all of this is also very difficult because you need to take time for yourself and also have time for God as well. So the 24 hours in the day feel like there's not enough time, and you wonder, you look at other people and you wonder, how do these people have the time to do all of this? Because there's some people who they'll even be still doing extracurriculars, they'll still be doing sport, they'll still be doing, and you just look at them, and there are people who are even going to the gym, and you're like, when?
Yeah, university really feels like a gambling thing because it feels as though you either have time for one thing or another. If today you were able to study and sleep, there's no time for social life. If the next day you were able to go to the gym and work on your spiritual life, there's no time for sleep. If the next day you had time for school and spirituality, there was no time to unwind and relax. Yes, it really is just a choosing game of today I'm going to surrender the fun, today I'm going to surrender the sleep, and yeah, it honestly just feels like a maze.
Don't surrender sleep, huh? Sleep is so important. I don't know, to me at least, I've never, no, well, not, let me not say never. I rarely sacrifice on my sleep because I don't know, for me, it feels like, especially when it comes to work, if I haven't gotten to this at a specific time, if it's midnight, I'm done. It doesn't matter what I still have to do or whatever, I'm done. I'm going to sleep. That 6 or 7 hours of sleep that you can get you much further than pushing books for another 2-3 hours. Especially for me in matric, I wasn't one of those people who were pulling all-nighters to write my exams. By the time it was 11 o'clock, I was sleeping. Because honestly, what Lynette said in the morning is really important. It really does help to commit all that you've learned into your long-term memory. So, yeah.
Yeah, so if I were to advise matrics, I would say it's important to know yourself, know when during the day you perform better doing certain things. Maybe you prefer to study during the day and relax in the evening. Allow yourself to maybe create a timetable that allows you to get everything you need done, to have a productive day, and also allow yourself to have some free time, relax your mind. If you are too much in your books, you might end up burnt out. But if you allow yourself too much playtime, you will fail. Yeah.
Yeah, like what she's saying about the timetable, some people work better at night. So I had friends who they would get home after school, they would sleep, they would eat, they'd relax. Then at 6 o'clock, that's when they start working. Or like for someone like myself, I work better in the morning. So I would rather work during the day. I get back home, maybe I eat, I work, I go to sleep. I wake up early and then I work again. So it really is about finding your strengths and also finding what works for you studying wise, because someone's study method that works perfectly for them may do absolutely nothing for you. So you really do have to test and see what works for you, and then once you find that, stick to it. Yeah.
No, and one last thing is, I feel like it's always said to us in our entire schooling journey that you must surround yourself with people that do the same or have similar subjects to you, so that whenever you want to help someone or you need help from someone, it benefits you to have people in your circle that, you know, do the same subjects or modules as you. And that applies also in university. Yes.
Yeah, but I think that's all we have. If there are any questions, oh, there's a question. Wait.
Thank you very much, ladies. That was very informative. I, for one, had never got a chance to actually go to university. I was studying, online. And I just wanted to comment and say, if you find yourself in university with no student debt and your parents are paying for your school fees, thank God. Because that's not how the world works. One. Number two, you've talked about your challenges. What are you enjoying about university? You told us what's fun and what's nice and
is that okay?
I'm asking because I'm not putting you on the spot, okay? I'm asking because I never got a chance to experience it. So I'm envying you in a good way, and I actually just want to find out genuine, upfront. Well, what's fun about it?
So as I have said, you surround yourself with, people who maybe you're doing the same modules as, and that becomes your social life. The people who you study with end up being the people you have recreational time with. Personally, I think the most, exciting part of university outside of academics would be, just getting to hang out with my friends. And I also really like STASM. STASM is basically the SDA church, but for students. I found that to be very therapeutic in my studies.
Yeah, I agree with her. Also, as much as planning everything yourself is daunting, it's nice. You don't have to consult anybody to be like, no, but I'm not saying it as in a bad thing, because I feel like there's so many opportunities maybe that I would have missed whilst I was at home, because there was no one to take you. Who's going to take you? There's no transport. Or, I don't know, the fact that you can just go, you can make the decision, and you can just, you don't have to be like, how am I getting there? How much am I paying? How am I getting back home? What time am I? You just go. And it's nice. Because everything is close by. Everything is in your budget, because it's students meeting students. And it's freeing, to be honest. And I don't mean like to take this and take advantage of it too much, and no, too much in a sense where you lose yourself and you like stop going to school and stuff like that. But I feel like it is good to be able to make these decisions on your own, whereas in the past, when you were living with your parents, you have to consult them about every little thing. So that's also something that is nice about staying at uni. STASM is amazing. I love this church. Don't get me wrong. But the environment at STASM is it's very different. It's youthful, it's energetic in a way that it just doesn't get here. I'm sorry. So if you've never experienced a STASM, I would recommend, even now, like find universities close by. UP is very close by. Just go one Sabbath. Just experience it. It's so nice. So, yeah. That's it. Are there any other questions, comments?
Any other questions, comments?
No, can you just...
For me, I don't think it's just a comment. During STASM, please, I would advise that take up any roles during STASM worship, because that will prepare you to become somebody else in life. So for myself, I did not study in university like my brother did, but I took up the roles in STASM while I was visiting STASM. So take the opportunities. If you want to be a deacon in the STASM confined space, do it. It will benefit you spiritually.
Yes, mine is a comment also. We've heard their challenges, we've heard what is going well for them. But as parents, if your children are not yet at university and they're going to go to university, you need to prepare them for that environment. Because, like they're saying, you do what you want, when you want, and so if, as parents, we don't have a strong foundation for them to be out there in the world, it will come back to bite us. It will come back to bite us to say, okay, now your child is out there and is running amok wherever everything is happening. They are there and they are not doing well in their academics. You should build a foundation that will help them to focus on their work, to enjoy their freedom, to be able to excel in what they do, and also to continue with their spiritual life. You know, when they get to university, because they can choose what they want, some and a lot stop going to church altogether. And you think that, yes, you know, this is, church has been part of our life at home. But once they get there, they have a choice. They are now adults. They can decide that I don't think I want this. So before they even get there, we need to prepare them. And we need to prepare them in such a way that we are not imposing, we are not enforcing, we are not being rigid with these children. Because if we say, you do what I say and you do what I say, you'll find yourself having your fingers burnt. Your child will rebel against your counsel, against your advice, against everything that you thought you were building. So let us bring up our children so that they are ready for the world, so that they are ready to excel. Because Sister Dikole said, we don't operate at mediocre, we operate at excellence. And that is where we should. And I always say, at home, we are not the tails, we are the heads. Wherever we go, whether we are at church, at university, we are at the head of it all. So, yes, it's easy theoretically to say, this is what you should do. But before your child goes to university, it's easy. Let them go to university. Then we will test whether your counsel and everything works. So let us learn from what they're saying, but also maybe learn from those who have gone through the process as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I really resonate with what you've said, because if you've been raised in like a house where you do things based on fear, that fear is gone. Completely. Once you're gone, that fear is gone. They're not there. What are they gonna do? So no. So if I was coming to church because I was scared of what my mom was going to do to me if I didn't come to church, I would have stopped going to church. If I was studying at school, doing well at school because I was afraid of what my mom was going to do to me if I didn't, I was gonna stop doing well. But it also ties in with children doing what they want to do as well, because if I'm doing what I actually want to do, I'm going to want to do well. If I love going to church, I'm going to actually want to go to church and go to church in my own time. So having a space where your love for certain things is cultivated, where in opposed to doing everything out of fear, is so important. So as parents, I don't know, all I'm saying is that encourage your children to, even if they have a passion for something or they are really good at something, and encourage them to use these things in a way where, yes, it will put bread on the table, but they will enjoy doing it as well, because you don't want to push them and then as soon as they are gone, they completely go off the rails. Yeah.
Yes, just to add what Toshi said, as much as you're preparing your children to go to university and perform well academically, you also need to prepare your children to be used to freedom. So for example, if you allow your child to go to the mall with their friends, they learn how to spend money wisely, they learn how to budget, and things like that also really help you in university. Because if now you're in university and it's the first time you've ever gone to a mall by yourself, there's no one to say, no, don't buy sweets, don't do this, don't do that. It's you, your money, your mind, and the entire mall to yourself. So yeah, I think it's very important to prepare your children for university socially as well.
Yes. Speaking to the money thing, it'll be the first time you have so much money in your life. If your parents never gave you, I don't know, an allowance or like a chance for you to be like to work with money, or a chance for you to to be by yourself. The child cannot be in the house the whole time. It can't be school, home, church. That's it. You know? They don't have opportunities to really see how they act outside of these spaces. And then as soon as they get to university, they will have this opportunity. It's the first time. They don't know what to do. If they never budgeted before, it will be like, oh, let me just take this. You get to the till. Oh, you're surprised. You don't know. You don't have enough money to. It's just having practice to do these things beforehand will make it so that when you get there, it's not something new to you. It's not something you have to get used to. And it'll be like a smoother transition. That rather than getting there for the first time and it's first time for everything.
Any other questions or comments?
I guess let me just say something. I guess in life, like any other, I think focus is everything. There's a time for everything. So when it's time to learn, of course we have to balance, but I think put all effort in learning. This is time to learn. When you get old, school, you ask what people like ask schools. I don't know, school tires me. So when you still have energy, when you still have parents who can support you, please focus at school. Amen. Yes, you can balance. And life, we have seen it where people take things for granted before they are in third year or fourth year. The parent or both parents, they're dead. The support that they assumed just plummets. And then from nowhere, everything things go well. So, like every parent, focus on your school now. It's the time you have. There's a long life after school. Then you can do everything that you want. But you have the basis to support yourself when parents are no longer there, if ever they are.
All right, I thought I should just add, the importance, parents, of praying for your children while they are at school. I don't care how well you taught them, there are wolves in sheepskin in a university environment. It is a brutal and vicious place. And when they say the devil goes around roaring like a lion, seeking those whom he may devour, especially those church children. Those are the main targets in that kind of space. And for someone who started first year when I was 16 years old, even today, sometimes I ask my parents, what were you thinking sending a 16-year-old to university? And I'm telling you, a lot could have happened. But if it were not for the prayers of my parents, I would not be here. And I cannot overestimate this. Please, please, please pray for your children who are in university. There's so much. And for someone who's still working in the university environment, I can tell you, we see these things every day. Just one wrong turn and you lose that child forever. Someone with so much potential, you lose them forever. And so remember that even though you are a parent, your children have a superior parent. That is God. And he's the only one who can really mold the heart of the human being. My mom always says, I'm sure you understand now that you're a parent that you only give birth to the flesh. But the spirit that is in that child can either be influenced for good or for evil. So that is my contribution.
Okay, I think that comes to the end of our segment of the program. Must ask what's comment?
Thank you very much. I don't know who's for. Okay, we still have this lost and found phone. I think because of our time, we will end here. My elder, please forgive me. Can someone just take care of this? But But we are very grateful and happy that the Education Day has been a very informative day. We've been learning and unlearning a lot of things from the morning, from Sabbath school, where we have learned the importance of sleep in everything that we do. And it's said that when I look amongst us, the young ones are all out. But we had a very informative session on what they need to do and the types of passes where they will lead them and the many opportunities that they are able to maneuver after they acquire their qualification. And parents, a big one, yes, we need to pray for our children's choices. It's very important. Whatever they choose, may it be to the glory of God. And those prayers, they go a long way. God hears and he answers. Remember, these children, as much as they are ours, they are his, bestowed to us, and we will be answerable one day. But I'm grateful that it was such a successful day, so much information that we are taking from here. And a reminder is that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yes, even to our matriculants, our university students, you can do all things through Christ. We have also been reminded during the divine service, that we are stewards with a purpose. We're created for a purpose. So wherever we are, let's be educated with a purpose to serve, knowing very well that salvation is important and the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all knowledge. I don't see our choristers, otherwise I would ask us for the last song before we close. It's fine. Let us pray. Our kind and loving Father in heaven, thank you, dear Lord, for this informative session. Thank you for the Sabbath, a place where we have learned a lot, a place where we have reminded our children about the importance of readiness and preparedness, and that through you they can do all things. Please be with us as we part, and may we continue to serve you. We pray all this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Oh, sorry, one last thing that I forgot to mention. So sorry. One last thing, important thing to our matriculants. For those that need extra help on mathematics, on science, we have our sister here, Lynette. Amen. So she's at your disposal. Yes. So when they said, let us go to the house of the Lord, they knew very well that you'd find everything that you need. Please don't struggle.